Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to CW Live. My name is Chris Webb, Head of Communications at the CW. Delighted to be joined by our Deputy General Secretary, Postal, Terry Pullinger. How you doing, Tel?
Yeah, not bad, Chris. Thank you. Yourself?
Good. Yeah, I'm good, mate. Nice to see you, buddy, as always. Members, we've got a lot to go through today, so we don't anticipate being on for a big block of time, but some critical issues to go through with you. I'm going to ask Terry, obviously, to give us an update on the negotiations that have been taking place with Royal Mail Group. Obviously, distinctly separately, we're going to talk about our pay ballot, which commences on Tuesday of next week, and the need to get the vote out and how important that is, and perhaps one or two final messages to our reps and members ahead of what was going to be a historic week for the union. I'm going to ask you, Terry, to kick off if you can, to give everyone really, you've been busy in the talks this week with Royal Mail Group. I'm wondering if you could give people an update on that. I suppose following on from some of Royal Mail's communications, particularly their live session, or I should use maybe inverted commas live session yesterday. Have you got a script there? Is there anything you're reading from there, Terry? Can you confirm that you're unscripted today for the viewers?
Yeah, I can confirm I'm unscripted. I'm unscripted. Yeah.
Quality, mate. What's it been like this week?
It's interesting because yes, we're in talks, and of course, even at the start of this week, we've been locked away in a hotel all week, so it's nice to be back home, and it will be the same again next week and the following weeks as we try to negotiate an agreement, which is what we've done for years, and we've got some experience in that. But it isn't helped, is it? We started the week, and on the very first day, Royal Mail were publishing. They've put it all in glosses, all their policies, which effectively they're saying they can't move away from. And it was interesting. The Workplace Live. I'm not on Workplace, so I don't watch it. But someone sent me the video of the introduction from Zarina Brown and Grant McPherson. So two absolutely key people at the top of Royal Mail, and I would suggest in the decision-making circle, and were part of these negotiations this week. And it was meant to be a Q&A session, but I only saw them two speeches, but they must have ate up most of the time. And it was evident that both Zarina Brown and Grant McPherson were reading a script, self-evident. Now, that's you either know your subject matter, you've either lived and breathed it, or you don't know it. And if you're going out to talk to people, just talk to people. Don't read them a story or read them a script, is my view. And sometimes you might say things wrong, or you might trip up or whatever. But I just think people would rather it was straight. So, and clearly that wasn't. And maybe it's because of the inexperience. I think Grant McPherson, I think they said on there, has been here about 3 months. Zarina Brown, I don't know, a year or so. And this is consistent with a lot of their team that are in the room on the negotiations. There is not a lot of experience in our industry across the other side of the table. Whereas, of course, we've got bundles and years in this business. So there's a number of things that come out that are unhelpful. I mean, Zarina Brown basically said that we've been in talks, but the union are not engaging. And let's have it straight. Zarina Brown was in those talks for 2 days and never said one word, not one word. So whether that's because there wasn't a script, I don't know. Said plenty of words last night, or read out plenty of words last night, but never said one word in that room. Grant McPherson did introduce himself and said what his experience was, and clearly this is a big challenge for him and a big change for him. Certainly in respect of the size and scale of the operation and the amount of people involved. So, and in those talks, both of them, let's be fair. I think it was Zarina who sort of said we weren't engaging, or we weren't doing this. The talks ended on Wednesday. We left there on Thursday. We just thrashed out the differences in respect of how we take forward the talks. So, and it ended in a good place. It ended with some good principles in terms of how we're going to try to take the talks forward, with people being very mature. So that wasn't reflected in the speech they were reading out. And maybe there's a good reason for that, because both Zarina and Brown and Grant McPherson had gone. They weren't there on the Wednesday. So when we decided how we'd take it forward. And that was a huge issue, because if people understand, it is really difficult. Because if we're going into these talks, and clearly we don't agree with management's proposals, we don't believe they fit. In fact, we believe they wreck the pathway to change agreement. That was our position. But if you're going to go in and negotiate, you've got to have some confidence and some trust that you're going into a genuine process. And of course, that was severely damaged, any trust or confidence, when the company chose to impose a 2% pay deal. So it's only natural that the CW negotiating team, and I think our members and certainly our reps who engage in negotiation and the art of it, would understand that we would want assurances that we're not just being sat in a room for a week or more for at any moment the company to take executive action. What sort of guarantees did we have around that? What guarantees could they give us? We're not there for them to just tart up their proposals, say we've listened to the CW, but they won't agree with us, so we're implementing them anyway. Which is a reasonable concern, given that they've imposed a 2% pay deal. So the talks were difficult, and both parties, certainly the people with a skill set in that regard of how you structure talks, understood that. And we come to the conclusion that the best way for us to take it forward on the change issue, as it happens, was for the union, which is what we've done, is to issue the national dispute resolution process, which means we're in dispute over those changes. So we don't agree on them. Okay. So that our structures, our procedures were deliberately written up, assuming people were honouring those procedures. And that gives us 4 weeks now of talks to try and move the things forward, or try and negotiate what things should look like. And of course, that can be extended by agreement with either party. So if we are genuinely making progress, then there's the opportunity to extend those talks. But for us, the CW, it gives us the assurance that we will be there for 4 weeks. Whether we agree at the end of it or not, it is irrelevant. That we as a union can prepare ourselves for an outcome at the end of those talks if they fail, that the company is likely to take executive action, especially the fact that they already have done on pay. So we found that this was the best use of our procedures. So we've the CWU have put a dispute resolution process. That's what it's called for a lot of people. They probably won't understand that, but what it means is both parties have committed to 4 weeks of talks to see if we can find a way forward, and if we got any sense of progress, we can extend that period. But because of where we are, because of the company's behaviour, because they're still out there hugely trying to pump their proposals and sell them really to our members, including that session last night, and the indication was there's going to be more of that, then we needed some things agreed, some parameters. So I've just got them, Chris, just to make sure people understand. One, the company accepted that we go into a DRP. They totally understand, in line with our legally binding procedures, that the union can prepare for the potential that this may end up in a dispute and a second ballot on change. 3, that there would be the company won't take any executive action through those 4 weeks. What they've committed to. So if they fail on that, then they will know they're disrupting the talks, because they've clearly signed up to that. Importantly, we both agreed, and that's written down as well, we both agreed that the talks hadn't ceased, hadn't failed. We had adjourned to take it into this other process. And when we go in that other process now, we can take its subject matter. The CWU can properly table its policies about how we move forward the pathway to change agreement. And this is significant because the trade union, at great expense to the union, held a policy forum up in Liverpool in February. And we took the pathway to change agreement and determined policy, in our opinion, how you move that forward, how you continue to grow the business, all aspects of the agreement. And it's resulted in a 100-page document, which reminds people of the agreements we've got. and then how we evolve those agreements. And we've tabled that, and that now will be part of the 4 weeks negotiations, our views on the future of Royal Mail Group and how you reinvent Royal Mail for the next generation. Our views are clearly there, and all the work and detail we've done behind that. Whereas at the company at the moment, who didn't come near us for months when we were trying to get talks going on the pathway of change, have just tabled these fait accompli proposals, which they're saying, without that, effectively the company's finished, which is nonsense, and we ain't gonna agree them. But what we got to agree is how we take things forward. So it didn't end acrimoniously. Everyone thought was in agreement that was the best way of taking it forward. There'll be no executive action, and hopefully people will behave properly in those negotiations. So that's where we are on change. For our members, what it means is all of those change proposals that are being peddled, and let's be honest, I'll be absolutely straight with you, those change proposals are hugely damaging to our members, our circa 115, 120,000 people, totally disruptive to your current working life, your normal working. They are hugely damaging, and we need a union negotiation on that. We can't accept them, in our opinion. They're hugely damaging to this great public service, because they will effectively reduce us to just an afternoon, evening operation, totally designed around parcels, and ergo they will be hugely damaging to the growth and new products that we would like to develop around the universal service, given that the universal service has just demonstrated over the last 2 years how important it is to the social fabric of this country, which was actually highlighted by the regulator in its recent review. So these proposals cut across all that. Whatever the business say, and they can say whatever they like, I'm telling you, hand on heart, they are massively damaging to the future of Royal Mail. They're not damaging to shareholders. They're not damaging to the people who want to take as much money out of this industry as they possibly can and then leave it as a shell of its magnificent self. But they are damaging to you, our members. As I say, they're damaging to this great public service and the concept of the social inclusion and the reach that we've got. And they're damaging to any genuine opportunity to open up new products and services, new revenue, etc., in a 24/7 modern Royal Mail. So that is our opinion. It's as serious as that. We go into them talks. We will be pressing hard with our proposals. We will be trying to convince the company, don't go down that road, that there's the medium and long term has absolutely been thought through by the CW, and that we think there's huge opportunities for Royal Mail to be reinvented and still be as relevant as it is today in years to come. And of course, that means changes. The inference that this union don't deal with change, and sorry, I know I'm going on, Chris, I can't help it. It's all pouring out. But this inference, this union don't deal with change, which was on the workplace last night, is just ridiculous. I've been in this game now 30. We've dealt with postal mechanisation, safeguarding the future of the mail's business. We've dealt with mail centre rationalisation. We've gone from 2 deliveries to 1 delivery. We've had letter sortation. We've had letter walk sequencing. The union's dealt with all of that and got agreements around it, etc. So it's just absolute nonsense that they're peddling. And I would ask people to remember that the agreement on how we approach change, the pathway to change, was only voted on in good faith by those circa 115, 20,000 people. Our membership was only voted on and agreed in February 2021. So it really does feel like it suited them going into the pandemic. Coming out of the pandemic, it doesn't suit them anymore. So they've blown the dust off of the proposals that were a problem, which drove us to the point of getting that agreement, were the same proposals that Rico Back was peddling. And that's basically where we are. So we're going there genuinely trying to get a deal, trying to protect all the things that are dear to us. And we will talk about change. We will negotiate and agree change as long as it is consistencies with the assurances we had in the pathway to change agreement. And for anyone else who might watch this other than our members, which was only signed off in February 2021.
Thanks, comprehensive. I'm just going to, if I can, take a second to change the frame around us. There you go, because obviously it's important that we distinctly separate the issues we're talking about here. Now, so you've given a full update there on the change discussions, and everyone knows where we are. More sort of imminent is next Tuesday. Ballot papers are dispatched to every CW member in Royal Mail Group in the country. Terry, 115,000 plus ballot papers going out, the biggest industrial action ballot in the country currently. A big moment for the union. We've got a big day on Tuesday. You've got National Gate Meeting Day, when we anticipate hundreds, if not into the thousands, of workplaces are going to go out there and show their support for the union. And then the next day, on Wednesday, ballot papers start landing at home addresses. And when people get home from work, we anticipate they're going to be ready to vote and post those papers off ASAP. But I just wanted to touch two things, really. Firstly, though, Tev, if I could say, just how important is it that, message to branches and reps, really, that every office has a meeting next Tuesday on National Gate Meeting Day?
Well, it's crucial, and there's a number of reasons it's crucial. Obviously, to get the vote out. I think people have given their lives to get democracy, so I can't see how any of our members or anyone who's included in the ballot cannot have a view about the issue of pay and whether 2% is acceptable or not, because that's what the ballot is about. But equally, it's important in this day and age, and with all the legality around it, Chris, it's mega important that people understand what they're voting on. The issues that we're dealing with in change, that's not what you're voting on. That's separate. We're dealing with that over the next 4 weeks, and if that ends up with a second ballot, then so be it. But the ballot paper everyone's going to be receiving next week is on the fact that we made a claim for a no strings pay award, which we believe was hugely deserved by our members for what they've done over the last couple of years, without question, but also gave them the best opportunity to deal with this cost of living crisis. And not only have the company only offered 2%, but they've now imposed it. So the vote is, do you think that's enough? Do you think that's acceptable or not? And I don't see how you can sit on the fence with that. So it's no excuse if you not to vote. You want to vote no, vote no. But obviously the trades union is massively saying that we don't think that's right. That's justice for you. We think that's totally wrong. You deserve far better. Absolutely deserve far better. And that you should vote yes in support of industrial action to get you proper justice and a proper pay rise, the one that you deserve and the one that you need. That's what that ballot is all about. It's nothing to do with all the other stuff that I was just talking about. It's purely about pay. So the gate meetings, Chris, are an opportunity for all of our reps to explain that to the members, same way as I am. But it's also an opportunity to stand there with your fellow workers and have the debate and make the decision of where you stand on it. Are you with your trade union, or are you going to forever accept less? Because that will be the road you're on if you vote no.
Thank you, Terry. I think absolutely crystal clear there. But and I can see already from the amount of messages we're getting that all of our branches are really getting ready for a massive day Tuesday, and then getting in and getting the vote out in the 3 weeks that follow. Obviously, we'll be hearing from yourself and the other officers, from Monday in terms of videos, podcasts, live messages. There's a home mailing landing with members over this weekend as well, which sets out exactly what's at stake. What would your message be, though, to our members now? And I know you've just given some of it there, just on this sort of, there's a lot going on in society. The cost of living crisis is biting people really, really hard. We're seeing desperation amongst our members, not just in the Royal Mail Group, but in the BT Group as well. Just how vital is it that we win this ballot? What's at stake, Terry? Final message from you.
Well, Chris, what's at stake really, I think, is to challenge hypocrisy, because yes, a lot of our members are struggling. They feel massively undervalued and insulted by this offer, and rightly so. And it's just not, you can't compare it, can you, to what's going on with the people who run the business. So even if members are trying to get their head around it, or Royal Mail employees trying to get their head around it, while they're being told they've got to expect less, take less, and just do their best in that cost of living struggle, you've got people like the CEOs out there on workplace and, oh, well, hello team, and everyone's my mate and everyone's lovely, and and you can trust me and all this stuff, who's just been given £140,000 bonus. Sorry to keep repeating it. That's hypocrisy. As I understand it, the senior manager give himself a 3.6 pay rise, allegedly. That won't be enough for us, but it's still hypocrisy. They've still given themselves far more than they've offered to their employees. They're paying millions of pounds to shareholders. And I know 400 million comes up, but actually since July 2021, up until past the AGM that's due soon, and there's another important reason to send a message, if what they want to do gets cleared, they would have paid shareholders during that period of time over £600 million, but there's no money for you. So you are undervalued. You're not getting a fair shake. It is disrespectful. It is insulting, and it should be the biggest return and biggest yes vote we have ever seen. And guys, you've got to do it, because like I say, their AGM's coming up, and these people, they think they're bulletproof. There is no sign of any emotional intelligence. They just do not seem to realise that they've lost the dressing room. And in this marvellous business, we've been in situations over the years when everyone's come out the other side of it, different disputes, and said, and by the way, the chairman and the CEO said this of this business when we got the pathway to change agreement. We know we got to take the people with us. We know we got to work with the trade union. Otherwise, this don't work. And yet they're making this stand now. They're taking the positions they're taking. They've started executive action. They've gone against everything they said, which means they're not people of principle. They're not driven, by a way that we want to do things different and better than everybody else. They're not. They've gone to the common denominator, a big business, big CEO, big pay deals they've got, money to shareholders. Don't care about the service, clearly don't care about letters anymore, or else they wouldn't be putting these proposals. And most importantly, they don't care about you. So you got to shout up loud and proud. You got to let them know they've lost the dressing room. They have lost the workforce. Whatever your feelings are, whether you've got strong feelings, smaller feelings, I believe I've sensed the anger, Chris. You keep doing your stuff. People keep coming through you. You know it as well. Reps are telling me they have never, ever known the workers as angry as this. Well, I tell you now, they need to know that, but so do external people, so do shareholders, so do the people of the United Kingdom. So you vote, as I say, loud and proud. Massive vote, massive yes vote. You want to get heard, you want justice, get behind your trade union.
Yeah, there's nothing more really to add to that, Terry. Emphatic message. So firstly, to say thank you for your time once again at the end of another long week. I know they're only going to get longer and only going to get busier in the coming weeks, aren't they? We've got loads of content for the members coming at you. We're excited to be getting out and getting that vote out. But as Terry's really powerfully and eloquently set out, you've got a job to do now, which is cast your vote, take your part in democracy, and send the clearest possible message. So thanks for joining us, and thank you for everyone's time.
Thanks.